Guys, as discussed earlier, I will be uploading video clips regarding the exercise or the homework we did previously. So, we're going to talk about the homework 1 this lesson, which is about a letter of complaint. Please bring your homework 1 that I returned to you earlier, and then the note which has already been uploaded on Google Classroom, named it as 2024 underscored paper 2 A analysis PDF. That is a note sheet for today's lesson. So I have included some sentence patterns and some vocabulary that you may use when you are doing or when you're writing a letter of complaint. These standardized vocabulary and sentence patterns can be used repeatedly in your essay, in your writing, especially when you are writing a complaint letter. Okay? So, 2024, Paper 2, Part A. This is your homework. You booked it a one-night stay at the seaside hotel, right? Based on the advertisement below. However, you are dissatisfied with your stay since the accommodation differed significantly from what was advertised on the hotel website. So you are upset, you are disappointed, right? Because of the poor services provided by the hotel. So can you guys tell me what is the text type of this kind of writing? Text type means 題材. So obviously, this is a letter of complaint, meaning that you are going to express your disappointment, right? So you have to send an email to the hotel management to describe why you are upset. That is the very first thing you need to do, and what you want the manager to do. More specifically speaking, some suggestions and compensation. Compensation means 補償. Something that is promoted by the website, that is promoted on the advertisement. It claims to have room service, air conditioning system, non-smoking room, including taxes and fees, with ocean view and Wi-Fi, something like this. You are not required. I understand that many of you try to include all these things in your writing, but then always remember, even though the questions give you these kinds of information, you guys do not really have to include every single piece of information. Otherwise, the content will be too broad and lack a main focus in your essay. Okay? 記住啦。好多時咧，你哋喺呢一篇文章做嘅一個最大問題就係題目俾晒呢一紮嘢你，咁然後你就全部都講咯，全部你都寫晒出嚟啦。但係其實唔需要去 include 晒全部嘢啦。你可以揀一兩個嘅 spotlight，一兩個嘅 focus，或者兩三個嘅 focus，然後反而你係好 detail 咁去 elaborate 落去咧，咁樣反而先最好。因為有好多時你哋做嘅一樣嘢就係每一樣嘢都講少少，每一樣嘢都講少少，跟住咧好到兩頭唔到岸啊！所以我嘅建議係，逢親再遇到類似嘅題目嘅時候咧，你可能揀兩三個，然後詳細咁 elaborate 落去，可能會有做得更加好啦，可以。So that is actually your task, what you really need to do. So it comes to the part to share some reminders to remind you all how to write a complaint letter properly. Always remember, a complaint letter is a formal letter, meaning that the tone must be formal and polite. In the introduction part, try to give me all these details. Tell me where is it, what happened, who was or who were involved, and when did it happen, and why would it happen, something like this. Try to give as many details as you can. And then, as for the examples, how the accidents really happened, you may share these kinds of things in your main body part. After that, for each complaint, for each complaint, you must include a clear and a very specific topic sentence telling me what your complaint is, what the complaint is about. For example, the room surface, the ocean view, something like this, okay? And then you have to state what you are expecting from the company or from the hotel for the compensation. For example, a full refund, an apology, or any other things else. You have to state everything clearly in a complaint letter. You have to pay attention to what should not be done. As I said, this is a formal. It is a formal letter, right? Meaning that everything must be formal. So you do not need to use, or you should not use any abbreviations, meaning that short forms should not be used. For example, TV, advertisement, something like this. You should not use these kinds of short forms. Also, do not use any contractions, meaning that you do not need to use apostrophe S, apostrophe D, something like this, okay? And then, I understand that you guys want to express your disappointments and your anger, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to be rude, okay? So, even though you are so angry about it, you are so disappointed about the service, or so angry about the false information, right? But then it doesn't mean that you have to be rude. So you should not use any imperative. You should not demand the hotel or the hotel manager to do what you want them to do. Okay. So these kinds of things should not be included in your text. Do not be rude, okay? You still have to be polite, okay? Still have to be polite when you're writing the whole passage. And that is a very important point. Do not mix up the pronoun I and we. If you are writing on behalf of a company or an organization, you are strongly advised to use we or us to represent, throughout the whole letter. However, if it is regarded as a personal complaint, use I or my or me, these kinds of pronouns instead. It now goes to the structure of each paragraph. Before talking about everything in detail, let's talk about these kind of things, this kind of layout presented in your note sheet. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give you a clearer understanding of how the paragraph should be organized, how to construct a better and a more organized paragraph. So this part actually tells you what you need to do, what you need to put down. Okay? What you need to put down. What other things should be included in your contents. And then for this part, I'm trying to give you guys a general picture, a general scenario that how many sentences should be spent or should be written for that particular content, okay? Always remember, this is just an approximate idea, an approximate picture of the passage. I'm not asking you guys to follow it strictly, okay? 記住啦，呢一度咧，我講緊嘅其實我只係咧好 general 咁樣話俾你知，大概咧係要用幾多行啦，用幾多句子嚟到去 present 左手邊嘅 content 嘅啫。唔好同我講話，阿 Sir 話一定要用一至兩句就一定要用一至兩句嘅，千祈唔好咁做。只係一個好大概話俾你知個篇幅係要點樣啫，個 range 係大概係點樣啫。O 唔 OK？ Okay, so when you're writing the letter of complaint and the introduction plot, you have to give me the background of the complaint, including the date, the place, the participants, and then the reasons is and what happened and so on. Try to give as many details as you can. And then always remember, you are encouraged to give additional information if the question lacks sufficient details. Meaning that if the question does not provide you with the date, you may include a date. You may make up the date on your own. Okay? You may make it up. 如果嗱呢一度啦，我再用中文講咁多次啦，就係、你喺 letter of complaints 入面咧，你需要話晒俾我知所有嘅 details 啦，所有包括 WH question 嘅嘢咧，你全部講晒出嚟咧，就已經係 background 嚟㗎啦。咁但係你話如果題目冇俾任何嘅資料你咧，咁你係可以自己作一啲嘅日子嗰啲出嚟，完全冇問題嘅。And then followed by the background of the complaint, please tell me the differences between your expectations and the reality. What are the differences between these two things? I will talk about that in detail later. No worries. And then at the very last sentence, you simply have to copy this down. You simply have to memorize this. In light of this, I'm going to lodge a complaint about 1, 2, and 3. To generalize your complaints a bit, for example, I'm going to lodge a complaint about the room surface and the room equipment, something like this. Okay. Oh, by the way, I want you guys to have 2 highlighters for me. One is the yellow highlighter to highlight some keywords or some useful phrases and vocabulary. And for the green one, I want you to highlight the sentence patterns that you may use it later when you encounter similar question types later. Okay? 黃色同綠色熒光筆咧係我一啲想你背誦嘅嘢，一啲背一啲嘅 vocab 啊，背一啲嘅句子啊等等嗰啲，咁係之後你有機會會用到嘅。Okay, so this is actually a sample which has been modified by me a bit based on a level 5 candidates. So you may see that in his introduction part, he include all these things already. For example, for the green one, he told us a month ago while he was surfing the internet, he told us when did it happen, right? And then he also told us where did it happen. Oh, all right, at the seaside hotel. Even though we know that the receiver, the one receiving this letter, must be the manager of the seaside hotel. Still, we have to state the name of this hotel clearly in the introduction part. So please do include this part in your essay. And then you've got to tell me what happened. Oh, all right, you booked it a one-night stay here. And then why did you book it? Because of the promises shown on the advertisement, such as self-regulating conditioning system and 5-star quality hotel room service, something like this. And then who is involved in it? Oh, my friend, and obviously me, right? So this is the background of the complaint, some basic background of everything, right? After that, you've got to tell me what you expected at first, and then how was it ended, okay? So he actually expected, there is a drastic disparity between the real product and what was advertised. So that is actually the expectation versus reality. 就係話期望落差，你 expect 你預計到啲乜嘢嘢啦，預計到啲乜嘢嘢啦，同現實嘅嘢係點樣啊？哦，就係咧預計到一啲好真正住落去嘅時候，原來係會有啲唔同喎。Okay, what you expected, and how is it ended at last? And then you may simply use this sentence as the very last sentence of this introduction part. In light of this, I'm going to lodge a complaint about what? about the view of the room, the very first complaint, the equipment of the room, the second complaint, and the room services, the third complaint. You have to generalize your complaints a bit to tell the readers, to tell the examiners, to tell the markers that which are the 2 to 3 complaints you're going to make. OK？ 好快我用中文講一次啦，其實呢，寫 introduction 呢，特別係 letter of complaint 唔難嘅，所有 WH 嘅 question words 你都用晒出嚟啦，話晒俾我聽幾時喺邊一度啊等等嗰啲咧，全部寫晒喺呢一度就 OK 㗎啦。然後寫晒呢一紮之後，你就話俾我知你嘅期望落差係乜嘢，預計到嘅係乜嘢，而現實中嘅係點樣。最後啦，你就用翻我頭先上一頁講過嘅嗰一句説話 ，In light of this, I'm going to lodge a complaint about 乜嘢咧？咁 about 啲乜嘢嘢，你就要幫我 generalize 你嘅 complaint 啊，包括可能係 room 啦、equipment 啦，同埋 room services 啊等等嗰啲。OK， so vocabulary part, I want you to pay attention to these 2 words, intrigue and disparity. These are the useful vocabulary for this section. Intrigue is a verb, meaning that you are interested in something or someone a lot. Something or someone a lot. It is similar to attractive. OK？ 同 attractive 係好類似嘅。I'm intrigued by the documentary about the spaceship maintenance， 就係話啦，我俾一啲嘅太空船嘅維修嘅紀錄片咧係迷住咗。I'm intrigued. I mean it is similar to interested actually. So starting from today, stop using interested repeatedly. You may use this word intrigued, okay? And then the disparity means difference. The difference between the rich and poor, the disparity between the rich and poor, 個不平等個差異 ，OK? And then for the second paragraph, it comes to the main body. Supposedly, when you're writing when you're writing an essay or when you're writing a letter, basically speaking, there should be 3 main bodies altogether, okay? Supposedly. However, if you really do not have time to do everything, it is fine to have 2 main body only. But that is the best thing, okay? That is the best scenario, okay? 記住 suppose 嚟講咧，喺 main body 嗰度咧 suppose 應該係有3段 main body 嘅。但係如果真係唔夠時間啦，2段都 OK 嘅 ，as long as 你係做得整齊啦所有嘢。And then for paragraph 2, which is the main body 1, the very first main body, always remember when you are writing a letter of complaint, always start with the most important and the most serious complaint. And starting from today, do not use or do not start a complaint with some cliched phrases. Cliched means 老土，唔好再用一啲好老土啊、好 standardized 嘅句式啊。To begin with, firstly 啊等等嗰啲，唔好再用呢一紮喺 complaint letter 嗰度啦。唔好再用呢一紮喺 complaint letter 嗰度啦。咁 OK。Okay, so if we're not using firstly these kind of things, what should we use? We may use I'm particularly annoyed, unhappy with, or blah 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 with X. Or we may say that the most appalling, the most unacceptable things I expect was X. Okay? You simply have to use 1 to 2 sentences to talk about it. Followed by that, you've got to give me the details of the complaint. You've got to tell me what happened, who was affected, and where and when did it happen, and why would it happen. You may include some examples as well. Try to give me as much as you can. And then, followed by this, after telling me the background of the complaint, okay, so these can be regarded as the background information of the complaint. And then, after talking about these background, what you need to do is to tell me how do you feel at that moment and how do you feel right now and why do you feel like this. Always remember when you're writing a letter of complaint, always think about the expectations versus reality, the differences between these two things。記住啦，你俾晒所有 background 嘅嘢我之後呢，你就開始同我講呢，你嘅 feelings 係點樣啦。嗰陣時嘅 feelings 啦，而家嘅 feelings 係點樣啦？咁我點樣去諗呢一紮嘢？其實你只要好簡單咁同我講，其實又係嗰一樣嘢，就係 expectation versus reality，就不停咁其實諗呢一兩樣嘢就搞掂㗎啦。你寫 letter of complaint，你 expect 嘅係點樣，而最後嘅係點樣 ？And then you may conclude this paragraph by stating the responsibilities of the company or of the manager, meaning that the responsibility of that company, of the hotel. Okay? So, again, please look at this simple essay. The most as unacceptable aspect was this one, was X, was the false information provided in the advertisement on the hotel's website. So, he starts with the most unacceptable aspect, and then he includes the background information of the complaint, telling me what happened. All right, there should be an ocean view from the balcony, but then there was, it managed to do this promise, to achieve this promise, yet most of the ocean view is blocked by the skyscrapers and other houses. After that, he told us, the candidate told us how he feels. Alright, because he is trying to celebrate his friend's birthday, so he expected to have some photos taken of the stunning ocean view and the birthday decoration. So that is what he expected. And then, how is it ended at last? Alright, the reality is that the pictures are more like spying on others' daily routine. Spying on means looking at. Spy on 係指緊呢係好似偷窺人哋嘅意思，望住人哋。More like spying on others' daily routines, which is utterly different from what I expected. So, he has included the expectations versus reality part. And to conclude this part, he tells us what the hotel should do. Alright, the hotel should do some, should carefully inspect and examine the information provided online. Otherwise, a sour taste in consumers' mouth will surely be left. So he tells us what the responsibilities the manager or the company are. Okay? Any questions? 好快咁講一講啦，就係佢首先從一開始咧就係話最難接受嘅嗰一樣嘢係最難接受嗰一樣嘢啦，係乜嘢咧？咁然後下面就俾咗一紮嘅 background 我啦，講緊呢一樣嘢係關於啲乜嘢啦。然後佢就話咗俾我知咧，佢嘅感受係點樣。佢 expect 係有一啲嘅相去影到啦，但最後咧影出嚟嘅相咧，其實就好似凝望緊其他人嘅生活咁樣啊。咁然係完全相反啦，同佢諗嘅嘢。咁所以啦，佢就覺得咧間酒店應該要做啲乜嘢嚟到去解決呢啲問題咧等等。So some useful vocabulary that I want you guys to pay attention to. The first one is spectacular and stunning. They share similar meanings actually. They share similar meaning. For example, the sunset yesterday was spectacular, was stunning. The view, the ocean view, the night view in Hong Kong is spectacular, is stunning. To emphasize the attractiveness of something 係指緊即係歎為觀止咁解啦，兩個嘅意思都係指緊好正啊、好靚咁解啦。To a certain extent is actually a phrase telling you that not completely, in some way 喺某程度上啊。To a certain extent, DSE destroys students' confidence. That is a really good way to when you're going to give the topic sentence, okay? When you're going to give the topic sentence, you may use to a certain extent, blah, 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 Okay? Skyscrapers. Many of you did use tall buildings in your essay, but then starting from today, learn this word. Skyscrapers means tall buildings. As well as means also and. Okay? Japan as well as Korea is a popular traveling place. Okay, so pay attention to here. When we are using as well as, this is actually regarded as an additional information. So, whether to use a plural verb or a singular verb, it depends on the main subject to decide whether we should use a plural or we should use a singular verb here. Even though we've got as well as Korea here, it doesn't mean that we've got two subjects here. Still, we've got one subject only. So, we still have to use a singular verb here. 就係話啦 as well as 雖然都係指緊 and 咁解啦，咁但係咧要記住佢係講緊一個 additional information 嚟嘅啫。咁所以啊，我哋依然係照睇翻個 main 嘅 subject 咧，只係得 Japan 一個嘅啫，明唔明白？所以記住啦，千祈唔好咧話 Japan as well as Korea 啊咁樣咧就錯噶啦，知唔知道 ？And then for the very last one, utterly means completely, entirely, 完全地。And then misleading means wrong, false. So the information is utterly misleading. Students are utterly exhausted by the DSE or something like this. Okay, and then for the and then followed by the main body 1, you've got to include main body 2 and main body 3. So they actually, I mean, what you really need to do is quite similar to main body 1. The only difference in writing main body 2 and main body 3 is the way you start this paragraph. You may use, another thing that I want to complain about is X, comma, which has failed to meet my expectations. And then for another one, you may simply use, apart from the above disappointment, X is another thing that I'm not satisfied with. Okay? And then again, you're just repeating things again. This is a sample essay from paragraph 3. Another thing that I want to complain about is the malfunction of the air conditioning system, which has failed to meet my expectations. So the only difference here is changing the transitional sentence here. And then again, the writer or the candidates provide the background of this complaint, the background information of the air conditioning system. Background information of the air conditioning system, right? And then he told us what he expected. Oh, they expected to make use of this opportunity to get rid of the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But then, how was it ended? Oh, the experience was ruined. And then they even got sick the other day. So he concludes this paragraph by telling us the responsibilities, what the manager should do. They should conduct maintenance checks regularly and to replace the malfunctioned equipment as soon as possible. Okay? So I want you to pay attention to these 3 words or 3 phrases, which are malfunction, means that not working properly. So many of you did use the word not working, okay? But then try to use this word malfunction. It is a noun or a verb. The malfunction of the plane engines is the main reason for this accident. The plane engines malfunctioned, so the flight was delayed. Okay, and then, okay, it means busy life. Get rid of means get away from. So listening to music is the only way to get rid of the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Hustle and bustle of everyday life 咧，呢個係直接背咗佢就 OK 㗎啦。之前 speaking 堂都有講過啦，同埋不停都有講過呢一個 phrase 㗎啦。背咗佢好用。然後 get rid of 咧，其實就係指緊擺脱 get away from 一啲嘢啦。Goes to the very last part of this passage of this essay is the conclusion part. Always remember you've got to summarize the complaints a bit and express your feelings a bit, okay? What I'm highlighting is the word a bit only, okay? Do not need to provide too many details of the complaints as well as your feelings. You may simply spend 1 to 2 sentences to summarize everything briefly. And then followed by that, you may simply include these 2 standardized sentences in your conclusion. You may say that, based on the above, I would be very grateful if you could give me a refund. Also, I sincerely look forward to the response as well as the explanations of these problems by. So you've got to tell me when you want to receive their reply. For example, by next Monday, or by you simply have to make up a date on your own by the 22nd of July, something like this. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to take the matter to the Consumer Council to proceed with legal action. It is hoped that these problems can be addressed seriously. I look forward to receiving your favorable reply soon. Always remember, you simply have to memorize. You simply have to memorize these 2 sentences and to apply these 2 sentences, these few sentences in your conclusion part. OK？ 嗱，綠色筆 highlight 住嘅呢一紮咧，其實你成個 conclusion 你係可以背咗入去考試㗎。你直接 conclusion 背晒呢一紮嘢，然後入到去講翻呢一紮嘢就搞掂㗎啦。即係話我想要一個點樣嘅嘢咧 refund， 然後啦，我需要你嘅 response 啦同埋解釋啦。by 幾時啊？你要自己作出嚟啦。然後啊，如果唔係嘅話咧，我就會可能要去消費者委員會嗰度去投訴你啦。然後我希望咧你可以關注呢啲問題啦。然後我期待收到你嘅回覆。完咗啦，咁就寫下款就得啦。So you may take a look at this simple essay. Needless to say, I'm outly means completely. I'm utterly disappointed in this one nice day experience. So he summarized the complaints a bit. He is disappointed, especially with what? Especially with the room equipment and view. He summarized the complaints into 2 things only: room equipment and the view. And he also tells us his feelings, right? And then he simply applies all the sentences talked about just now. Based on the above, I would be very grateful if you could give me a full refund. Also, I sincerely look forward to the response, as well as explanations of these problems by next Monday. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to take the matter to the Consumer Council to proceed with legal action. It is hoped that these problems can be addressed seriously. I look forward to receiving your favorable reply soon. So he simply has to apply all the standardized sentences when he is doing this writing. Okay? So it comes to the very last vocabulary, which is needless to say, means of course. It is a very good topic sentence actually. Needless to say, the teacher acts as a role model for students to follow. 即係話啦，毫無疑問地，當然啦 ，of course, okay? So you may use needless to say in your writing. Any questions so far? Okay, so if no, In 2013, a complaint letter was tested in Part B actually. So many people say that private school bus service operators do not follow proper safety procedures when dealing with young children, and they argue that this may pose a danger. Write a letter to the Bus Operators Association to express your concerns and give 3 recommendations of how private school bus services can be improved. So it is pretty much the same of what we discussed just now, okay? So this is basically quite similar to what we discussed just now. So you may try to do it if you have time and WhatsApp your work to me. Send your work to me through WhatsApp. Feel free to do it on your own. Okay, so this is a complaint letter. If you're really going to do this complaint letter, please use the expressions as well as the organizations and vocabulary that I taught just now. Include all those expressions, okay? So that's the end of this lesson. So let me know if you have any question. Thank you.